Now let's talk about the advantages of the rail to Port MacKenzie and what this means, again, to the Alaskan economy. First of all, it's a shorter distance to tidewater for mineral exports. It's about 147 miles shorter than we're going right now, and it also is the only Alaska port with a 100-car rail loop, and in fact the only Alaska port that can build a 100-car rail loop and give access to tidewater. It's a very efficient product, having to move through Anchorage and causing whatever disruption that would have been caused. It's also a deep draft port that operates year-round. Port MacKenzie has had ships come there in the middle of the winter at 15, 20 below with ice on the ground, and that will operate year-round, much the way the Port of Anchorage operates year-round. A real significant thing, as I mentioned before, is 14 square miles of industrial area, all industrially zoned. There's no residential, there's no recreation area there, there's no conflict. It's all industrial zoned, and that has the opportunity to be the newest, biggest industrial area in south central Alaska. And it also makes Alaska's minerals more competitive on the world market, especially molybdenum, copper, lead, zinc, and coal. And what that means is that Port MacKenzie and the rail extension is an extraordinary opportunity to grow our export economy. So how big is our export economy right now? In 2009, that export economy was $3.3 billion. Now that's not the largest it's ever been. In 2006 and 2007, our export economy was $4 billion. It's come down a little bit since then, but that's really a function of the world economy, and it will come back up. But with Port MacKenzie and with the rail extension, we have the opportunity to dramatically increase that $4 billion to a much, much bigger number. So let's talk about who we're selling this to and how our exports break up. First of all, here's our total exports for 2009. 3% of our exports were forest products. 50%, the largest share, is seafood. 10% is energy, 5% is precious metals, 6% is other, and 26% is minerals. This is the area that we have a huge opportunity to grow over the next few years. So who are we selling these to? Our biggest customer is Japan, and Japan buys 14%, or 14% of Japan's imports from Alaska. Our exports to Japan are minerals, and there is a huge opportunity for growth there. Seafood could grow, energy could grow, but minerals is where the huge opportunity for growth is. They're a resource poor country, they're a minerals poor country, they need it. We've shown that we can export things to them. All we need to do is show them that we can export things competitively and at a lower cost to Japan, and there's a great opportunity for that to grow. Our second biggest customer is China. This will soon be our biggest customer. China is the world's, and 15% of China's exports are minerals. So there is a great, great opportunity to grow in China. China is the world's biggest importer of zinc. It will be, this coming years, the world's biggest importer of molybdenum, and molybdenum is used in steel alloys to take iron ore and make steel. So it's a very, very important thing for a fast-growing economy like China. $586 million. The World Trade Affairs Association expects that to be over $1 billion in a couple of years, and we have a chance to dramatically improve that through mineral export to China. Our third biggest customer is Korea. And they actually have the biggest percentage of mineral exports in Korea. So 36% of their imports from Alaska, our exports to Korea, is minerals. But we still have plenty of room to grow. They would like more coal, they need more minerals, and that's a great opportunity to grow. Perhaps not as great as Japan and China, but also a great opportunity to grow. Why is Port MacKenzie such an advantage to these countries? Let's take a look at their ports. For Korea, and you'll see the Korean port here, their port, receiving port is going to be Incheon. For China, it's going to be Shanghai. For Japan, it's going to be Yokohama. Now, what's the closest American port to these three ports? Some people think it may be Los Angeles. Los Angeles is 8,800 kilometers. Portland is 7,800 kilometers. Tacoma is 7,700 kilometers. Port MacKenzie and the Port of Anchorage are 5,600 kilometers, 2,100 kilometers closer than any other American port. And that is huge in terms of days on the water. that amounts to about 3 to 3.5 days on the water for every ship that's importing or exporting from Alaska to these countries. So it's very, very significant. Now, once again, the key to this is the movement down of all of these products, and we've got people who have these resources. They would like to develop them. They're very excited about this project, and it would be and all of those diamonds represent various deposits that are in that area. There's a new opportunity now with Delta Junction. That rail has been approved. It's going to be built by the federal government. That will extend from Delta Junction to Fairbanks, and then from Fairbanks all the way down through the extension to Port MacKenzie. From Port MacKenzie, it's unloaded, put on board the ship, and from there it goes to Incheon, Shanghai, and Yokohama. Very simple, very straight, very clean, very efficient, and very inexpensive. This is a ship that came into Port MacKenzie this summer, and it was tested. You may have heard something about shoal problems, so we brought the biggest ship we could in. This was loaded and sewered, 90% loaded with coal. It came up the Cook Inlet, 90% loaded, as the biggest ship ever to come up the Cook Inlet. It was loaded with the top 10% with coal from the Usabelli mine, and it was topped off and sent out, and there were absolutely no problems. So that was a test run. The test run went perfectly, and the exports can very well be on their way. Now let's talk about jobs created by the rail extension and Port MacKenzie expansion. First of all, direct, indirect, and induced jobs from construction. According to the Institute for Social and Economic Research, NHDR, there'll be 3,000 jobs in this area created for the construction of this project. The most important thing, though, is the long-term jobs created by private development. And that is, along the railroad, there's a projected 4,000 jobs that will be created through the exploration and extraction and development and transportation of minerals from central Alaska, from the interior of Alaska, down to Tidewater. The industrial development of Port MacKenzie is another opportunity. There's an estimate that over the next 15 to 20 years, that will create another 3,500 jobs in developing the industrial area of Port MacKenzie. So what's underway right now? What's happening right now? The work that you've seen is part of this bit of funding for the state. The first funding was $10 million for the completion of the environmental impact study and the selection of the route. That will be done this fall. The second $17 million was for construction of the truck route and the rail loop. That's in progress right now. That's underway right now. The third part of it is the beginning construction of the rail extension going north. Last year, we received $35 million from the state for this project, and the contracts are out, and it will be ongoing next summer. And the contracts, by the way, are coming in way low. The bids are great. There is not a better time to do this than right now, because there are people who are looking for work. There are construction companies who are looking for work. Now, what's next with this project is this year, we're looking for continued construction of the rail extension, and that's $55 million. That's our goal, is to get $55 million from the governor and from the legislature so we can continue this project without delay. Next year, we'll be looking for another $60 million to complete the rail bed to the Alaska Railroad main line. So as you can tell, this is a project that's going on right now. This is not something in the future, something we might do. This is something that will be completed in about 4 years. So next year, we'll be looking to complete the rail bed to the Alaska main line, and the last part of the project is to lay rail and complete the rail extension in 2014, and that's another $41 million. With that said, that project will be done by 2014. It's going to be significant to Alaska's economy and very important to everybody watching right now. So I would encourage your support, I would encourage your questions, and I would encourage you to talk to the governor and talk to the legislators and let them know how important you think this project is for Alaska.